Hello students, welcome to iTTV. Today we're going to learn the importance of taking good nutrition and practicing good eating habits. Every day we consume food in order to get energy for our daily activities. But how much calories are we taking every day? Now, different classes of food have different amount of chemical energy inside them. So, let's learn about this calorific value. Food has calorific value. Calorific value is the amount of energy or heat released when 1 gram of food is burned completely. So here we understand the meaning of calorific value, where 1 gram of food is burned or oxidized completely. So there is a device whereby to count this calorific value. Now let's look at a simple calculation on this calorific value. The calorific values for various classes of food are as follows. Proteins 22.2 kilojoules per gram, carbohydrates 16.7 kilojoules per gram, and fats 37.6 kilojoules per gram. Jason's breakfast contains 3 grams of proteins, 10 grams of carbohydrates and 4 grams of fats. Calculate the total calorific value of Jason's breakfast. So let's go to the board and solve this question. So based on the question, we understand protein has 22.2 kilojoules per gram. So you have to understand the meaning of this unit is actually meant for 1 gram of food. So let's look at the breakfast of Jason's. Now he took breakfast, which consists of 3 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbohydrates, and finally 4 grams of fats. Now let's solve one at a time. 3 grams of protein, whereby 1 gram of protein actually releases 22.2. So the calculation in here would be 3 grams multiplied with 22.2 kilojoules per gram. You'll get actually 66.6 kilojoules of energy released. While for 10 grams of carbohydrates in here, 10 grams multiplied with 16.7 kilojoules per gram, you will get the answer 167 kilojoules released by carbohydrates. And finally, 4 grams of fats, you will get 4 grams multiplied by 37.6 kilojoules per gram. You will get the value 150.4 kilojoules. Now they actually ask you what is the total calorific value in here. So the total energy, that will be 66.6 added up with 167 and finally 150.4. So what happens, the total energy in here would be this value added up with this value and this value. We will get and finally we'll get the answer, that is 384 kilojoules. So this is the total value, the total energy that is available from the breakfast. So this is how we calculate this calculation. Now let's see the others. Why do we need this energy in our daily activities? Energy is needed by humans to keep our body warm, carry out living processes such as breathing and growing, and enable our body to move around. So one of the reasons why we are eating is to obtain energy for and to do some processes in our daily lives. A very important process is to keep our body warm, to do activities and move about. So that's why we need energy. Factors that affect individual calorific requirements are sex, state of health, surrounding temperature, body size, physical activity, and age. So here we have seen various factors of these calorific requirements. So let's learn one at a time. We'll start from sex. Sex. Men tend to need more calories than women because they are more active and larger in size, higher metabolic rate, and more active. From what we understand in here, men require more calories compared to women. Now why is it? One of the reasons is because men are bigger in size compared to women. Number 2, their metabolic rate is much higher compared to women. That's why men need to eat more compared to women. State of health. Sick or weak individuals are encouraged to eat more nutritious food because they need more energy to fight illness and to repair damaged tissues. They need more energy to strengthen their immune system. So a normal person actually eats normally, but a sick person, actually the requirement is different. They have to eat more. One is to fix the damaged tissue, and on top of that they have to keep fit in order to fight back the disease that they are infected with. Therefore, immunity system. They have to increase the immunity system inside their body. Surrounding temperature. People who live in cold climate require more energy because to keep their body warm, and they need more energy to replace body heat that is lost to the surrounding. Body size. A person with a big body needs more calories because he has more cells to feed. Now from the picture we can see a baby and a full-grown person. Now a baby has very less cells in the baby's body, but compared to the person who is grown, he has a lot of cells. So therefore the requirement is totally different. Baby has less cells and a full-grown person has more cells to actually give energy. So that's why a person who is in a bigger size actually eats more compared to a person who is in smaller size. Physical activity. An active person, such as laborer, needs more calories than an office worker. This is because physical activities involve the contraction of muscles for body movement, which requires energy. Laborers and office worker. Now, laborers, they are working outside a building. 1, the temperature is very high. 2, and on top of that, they move about. They carry things from one place to another, and they use up their hands and legs. So therefore, physical activities is very, very high. Now let's look at this person who's working in an office. The movement is less. The only thing that actually move is actually their hands and their fingers in their computer. So therefore, the movement, the physical movement in here is very less. Therefore, heat energy that is required by a person who is in the office is very less compared to the person who's working out there hard, taking heavy things around, moving about. Age. A teenager needs more calories than an elderly person because he is more active and still growing. Growing children require more energy compared to adults because they are more active, they have a higher growth rate, they have higher metabolic rate. So here is a difference: children, teenager and a grown adult. So the requirement of energy is totally different in here. For teenagers, for instance, they have higher metabolic rate, they move about a lot, and they still have a growth rate compared to an elderly person where they are not growing anymore and their movements are actually limited, whereby they are not going around doing sports activities unless you are involved in such like sports activities or running or hiking. That is different. But when it comes to age, this is the difference. Diet. So in here we understand diet is divided and categorized to two: a balanced diet and unbalanced diet. So a balanced diet is where the person has acquired all the different types of vitamins, minerals and energy. But unbalanced diet is different. Let's start from a balanced diet. A balanced diet is one which contains all the classes of food in the correct quantities to meet daily requirements. This is to ensure a good health, prevent diseases, ensure the normal growth for children and adolescents. Now let's look at unbalanced diet and what actually is the deficiency and the excessiveness of this unbalanced diet. An unbalanced diet is due to a lack of excessive consumption of a particular class of food, whereby malnutrition, obesity, anorexia nervosa, and unhealthy eating habits occur. Now I would like you to pay attention at the cause. One is malnutrition, obesity, anorexia nervosa, and unhealthy eating habits. These four of them. But let's start from the first one, malnutrition. What happens? We don't have enough certain vitamins and minerals in our body. What are the diseases that occur? Health problems related to improper nutrition and eating habits. Deficiency in protein creates kwashiorkor. Deficiency in iron creates anemia. Deficiency in iodine creates goiter, while deficiency in calcium creates diseases like rickets and osteoporosis. Deficiency in vitamin A creates diseases of night blindness. Deficiency in vitamin B1 creates beriberi. Deficiency in vitamin C creates scurvy. And finally, deficiency in vitamin D creates diseases called rickets. So these are the few deficiencies like proteins, vitamins, and the diseases that it actually creates. Now certain things are quite important and something that you have actually learned in the earlier stages like in Form 3 science. So next we are going to see on obesity. Obesity is a health problem due to a person eating more than his body's need, so that his body accumulates too much excessive fat, leading to various diseases. Example, diabetes and heart disease. So obesity is something where a person actually eats more than he is required. So what does our body do? It actually absorbs all this nutrient from this excessive food that we take and actually stores in our body. So gradually the person who actually eats more creates a bigger body size. So that's why obesity occurs. But what are the side effects of this obesity? It actually creates heart diseases and diabetes. Anorexia nervosa. So anorexia nervosa, what is the psychological problem? What is the person who actually has this? What do they see? What happens is when they actually view in a mirror, they see themselves fat even though they actually are thin. So what do? Whatever that they consume, they actually remove it back or they don't eat at all. So this is a problem among teenage girls. We're not only talking about girls, it's sometimes also for boys. So be careful there. Anorexia nervosa is a psychological problem. Unhealthy eating habits. Excessive consumption of food which is rich in cholesterol. Excessive cholesterol actually creates health problems like arteriosclerosis, hypertension, stroke, and heart disease. So cholesterol, what happens is they normally will go and stick on the arteries and veins in our blood circulatory system. So this, what happens to our heart is, it actually, will cholesterol goes there and blocks certain veins and arteries there. So what happens to blocked vessels? They actually doesn't allow the blood flow. So this is where problem starts, like hypertension, arteriosclerosis, and so on. Unhealthy eating habits like excessive consumption of food which is rich in sugar. Even consuming sugar is a problem. One, it creates diabetes. It's something, a common disease in our country now. On top of that, it also creates tooth decay. Now why is it? Sugar is a nutrient for bacteria that is present in our mouth. On top of that, this bacteria consumes the sugar, that is glucose, and actually creates an acid, that is a byproduct. Now this acid, what it does is, it will actually decay and erode our teeth. That's why tooth decay is a problem when you actually consume sugar too much. On top of that, we also have another problem, obesity. So these are the problems when you have too much sugar in our body. Unhealthy eating habits of excessive consumption of food which is rich in salt. Excessive salt creates health problems like hypertension, that is high blood pressure. So even salt can't be taken too much. Now why is that? It creates a problem like high blood pressure. So these are the simple things. Excessive of cholesterol, sugar, and salts is actually bad for our health. Good nutrition and eating habits are important to A. The growth and healthy development, B. Maintain body health, and C. Supply energy. So these are the important values of good nutrients to our body. Now let's look at some questions. Question 1. The table shows calorific values of various classes of food. Carbohydrates, caloric value 17.2 kilojoules per gram. Proteins, 22.2 kilojoules per gram. And fats, 38.5 kilojoules per gram. Which class of food contains the highest calorific value? A. Carbohydrate, B. Protein, C. Fats, D. Vitamin. Highest calorific value. So therefore, they actually emit more energy per gram. In here, the highest calorific value that we can see is actually fat, that is 38.5 kilojoules per gram. Therefore, the answer for this question is C. Fats. Question 2. What is meant by calorific value? A. The total energy contained in a raw food. B. The total energy released in a gram of food when absorbed in a cell. C. The total energy released in a gram of food when completely oxidized. D. The total energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 Kelvin. As we have learned earlier, the meaning of calorific value is actually C. The total energy released in a gram of food when completely oxidized. So let's look at question 3. Dash results from eating an unbalanced diet in which certain food substances are deficient. A. High blood pressure, B. Arteriosclerosis, C. Malnutrition, D. Anemia. Now, certain foods are deficient. That means certain vitamins, minerals are not present. So therefore, it's very obvious the answer for this question is malnutrition. C is the answer. We move on to question 4. Conditions in which energy intake is much higher than energy usage can cause dash. A. anorexia nervosa, B. diabetes, C. obesity, and D. anemia. Energy intake that is higher than the usage. Therefore, it means you are actually taking in more food compared to the normal that you're supposed to take. So the answer here is C. obesity. 5. Which of the following foods provides the most energy? A. sugar, B. starch, C. protein, D. animal fat. So we have to understand fat actually has higher energy compared to carbohydrate or even protein. So that's why fat has to be consumed less. So in here, the answer is animal fats. Question 6. Which of the following does not affect the caloric requirement of an individual? A. age, B. sex, C. race, D. body size. So it's very obvious the answer in here. The answer is, of course, race. Because we have learned the factors of these calorific requirements are like, the answer in here is age, sex and body size. So let's summarize what we have learned today. Calorific value is the amount of energy or heat released when 1 gram of food is burned or oxidized completely. Factors that affect individual calorific requirements are sex, state of health, surrounding temperature, body size, physical activity, and age. An unbalanced diet is due to lack of or excessive consumption of a particular class of food. And here we can see in terms of malnutrition, obesity, anorexia nervosa, unhealthy eating habits. Unhealthy eating habits are like excessive consumption of food which is rich in cholesterol, salt and sugar. So today we have learned the importance of taking good nutrients and the practice of good eating habits. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson well and learned a lot of things. Thank you for watching iTTV. I'll see you in the next lesson.